I shot my husband in the chest that night, but he didn't die. Not right away. And as the blood bloomed across his crisp white shirt like some twisted 4th of July firework, he looked up at me with those same hazel eyes that had once promised forever, whispering, "Lydia, you don't understand. It's all for her." Her. Our daughter, Ellie. The one who was screaming from the hallway, "We need to go, Mommy. He's not who you think." 5 years old, and she'd already seen too much. I dropped the gun, the weight of it pulling me to my knees, because in that split second, I realized the betrayal wasn't just his affair or the money he'd drained from our life savings. It was deeper, a grave I dug for myself years ago, burying his sins as my own to keep our family whole. But families like ours? They rot from the inside out. That was the end, or so I thought. The beginning? It started in the rain-slicked streets of Seattle, where the coffee shops hum with passive-aggressive baristas and the tech bros dream of striking it rich, while the rest of us scrape by on gig wages and false hopes. I'm Lydia Harper, 34, a freelance graphic designer who traded her dreams for PDA meetings and soccer practices. My husband, Jack, was the golden boy, venture capitalist with a corner office in Belltown, sharp suits, sharper smile. We met at a rooftop party in Capitol Hill, the kind where craft IPAs flow like water and everyone's lying about their startup ideas. He swept me off my feet with lines about building empires together, and I fell hard, because who wouldn't? Stability in this city felt like winning the lottery. Our life was the American dream on Instagram filters. Craftsman house in Fremont with a backyard big enough for Ellie's swing set, Sunday brunches at that overpriced spot in Ballard, and Jack's endless networking events that kept him out late but always came home with bigger promises. "We're on the cusp, LYD," he'd say, kissing my forehead like I was the lucky one. I believed him.
God, I did.
Until the night Ellie woke up screaming, not from a nightmare, but from the shadows in our closet, shadows that smelled like cheap perfume and desperation. It was a Tuesday in October, the kind of damp Seattle autumn where the leaves stick to your shoes like regrets. I'd been up late tweaking logos for a client who ghosted me mid-project, the glow of my laptop the only light in the house. Jack was at a late meeting. His text read, but something gnawed at me. Ellie's cries pulled me from my stupor, sharp, panicked wails that cut through the hum of the fridge. I bolted upstairs, heart slamming against my ribs, and found her huddled in the corner of her room, clutching her stuffed whale, Mr. Bubbles. "Mommy, Daddy's closet. The bad lady's coming." Kids say wild shit, right? Night terrors, overactive imaginations fueled by too many Disney movies. But when I flipped on the hall light and yanked open our bedroom closet door, the air punched out of me. There, tucked behind Jack's pressed suits, was a duffel bag. Not just any bag, stuffed with cash, stacks of 20s bound in rubber bands, and a burner phone blinking with unread messages. The top one from Kay. "Miss you tonight. Tell her you're working late again. Our little secret keeps the lights on." Her.
Me?
Or someone else. My hands shook as I scrolled, each text a knife twist. Hotel bookings in Tacoma, jewelry receipts I never got, whispers of our escape fund. Ellie tugged at my pajama leg, her voice a tiny thunderclap. "We need to go, Mommy. She's gonna take Daddy away, and then we'll be all alone like in that story you read. The one about the wolf in Grandma's clothes." I slammed the phone down, while rising, and that's when I heard it, the front door creaking open downstairs. Jack home early? Or her? I grabbed the baseball bat from under the bed, the one we'd bought after that string of Fremont burglaries, and crept down the stairs, Ellie trailing like a ghost. The living room was dark, shadows pooling from the unplugged Christmas lights we'd never taken down. And there he was, Jack, silhouetted against the streetlight filtering through the blinds, shrugging off his coat. But he wasn't alone. A woman's laugh, low and throaty, echoed from the kitchen.
Krista.
His junior associate, the one who'd sent the texts. "We can't keep doing this," Jack was saying, his voice that fake calm he used in boardrooms. "Lydia's onto something. Ellie's been asking questions." "Then leave her," Krista purred, stepping into view. Blonde, leggy, the kind of woman who turns heads at Mariners games. She was pouring wine from our good bottle, the one I'd saved for our anniversary. You've got the fund. We go to Portland, start fresh. No more playing house with the soccer mom. I froze on the landing, back gripped so tight my knuckles whitened. Ellie whimpered. Mommy, the bad lady. Jack's head snapped up, eyes locking on us like deer in headlights. Whitey? Baby, it's not. Not what? My voice cracked like thunder, louder than I meant. I charged down, bat raised, Ellie scrambling behind. Krista yelped, wine splashing across the tile. Jack stepped between us, hands up, that salesman's smile cracking at the edges. Let me explain. It's for us. For Ellie. The firm's going under, embezzlement scandal. I had to redirect funds. Krista is helping me cover it. Cover it. I laughed, bitter as black coffee. By fucking her in our bed? By lying to your daughter? Ellie was sobbing now, burying her face in my thigh. We need to go, Mommy. Please. Krista smirked, wiping wine from her blouse. Oh, honey, grow up. Jack's always been too good for this picket fence bullshit. He's mine now. That smirk. It ignited something primal, a rage I'd bottled since the day I said, I do. I swung the bat, not at her, but at the wine bottle on the counter, shattering it in a crimson spray. Glass everywhere, shards glinting like accusations. Get out, I snarled. Both of you.
They did.
Jack grabbed the duffel from upstairs. I heard him thundering up and down, muttering apologies that tasted like ash. Krista sauntered out like she owned the night, flipping me off from the porch. And then they were gone, taillights fading into the drizzle. Ellie and I stood there, the house echoing with silence, her words looping in my head. We need to go, Mommy. But we didn't. Not yet. I called the cops, filed the report, missing husband, possible fraud. Detectives came, the kind with coffee breath and skepticism etched in their wrinkles. Ma'am, these things happen in marriages, one said, eyeing the broken glass. Tech money dries up, people bolt. They took statements, dusted for prints that weren't there, and left me with a case number and a knot in my gut. The days blurred into a haze of daycare drop-offs and empty bank alerts. My freelance gigs dried up. Who wants designs from a woman unraveling on Zoom? Ellie stopped sleeping, drawing pictures of wolves in suits, hiding under beds. Daddy's coming back, right, Mommy? With the bad lady. I lied. Of course, baby. But inside, the betrayal festered like roadkill on I-5. I started digging, late nights with a cheap laptop, cross-referencing Jack's emails I'd hacked with a password he never changed. Ellie Star. That's when the real secret slithered out, cold and coiling. 5 years ago, before Ellie, Jack hadn't been just a junior analyst. He'd been cooking books for a shady VC firm, siphoning investor cash into offshore accounts. One whistleblower too close, and it could have blown sky high. But I took the fall. Me, naive Lydia, fresh out of design school, temping as their admin. They framed it as my clerical error, a fat fine and probation that killed my credit, my dreams of my own studio. Jack swore it was a one-time glitch, begged me to cover for him. For us, LYD, the future we're building. I did it because I loved him, because love in America means swallowing the bitter pills so someone else can shine.
Now?
That glitch was a noose tightening. Krista wasn't just his side piece. She was the firm's fixer, the one who'd buried the original scandal and was now unearthing it for leverage. Text from the burner. Pay up, Jack, or I sing to the feds. Lydia's old conviction makes her the perfect patsy, again. He wasn't vanishing for her. He was running from the truth I'd carried like a stone in my chest. Rage turned to resolve. I wasn't the victim anymore. I was the storm. I hired a PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Harlan from a dive bar in Pioneer Square, 50s, whiskey-scarred, the kind who knows every back alley in the city. Revenge ain't clean, sweetheart, he warned over stale peanuts. But if it's what you want. It was. More than air. Harlan tracked them to a rented cabin in the Olympics, that foggy stretch of evergreens where cell service dies and secrets thrive. Jack and Krista, holed up like Bonnie and Clyde, counting cash and plotting their Phoenix reinvention. I drove up alone, Ellie with my sister in Tacoma, the winding roads a blur of fury. Rain lashed the windshield, wipers slapping like accusations. By the time I pulled up to that sagging A-frame, thunder rumbling like God's own disapproval, I had a plan. Simple. Confront. Extract.
Destroy.
But plans in the PNW? They unravel like fog. I kicked in the door, cheap pines splintering under my boot, and there they were, mid-argument over a flickering lantern. Jack, unshaven, eyes hollow. Krista, perched on the table in lingerie that screamed desperation. Lydia? Jack choked, scrambling up. How? Doesn't matter. My voice was steel, the .38 I'd bought off Harlan's contact heavy in my pocket. Illegal?
Sure.
But so was everything Jack touched. You think you can bury me twice? Frame me for your greed again. Krista laughed, that hyena cackle. Oh, poor deluded housewife. Jack's been playing you since day one. That error? My idea. Kept him loyal.
Loyal.
The word twisted like a knife. She slid off the table, sauntering close. Too close. And now? We're free. You? Back to scraping by, raising his brat alone.
Ellie.
The mention lit the fuse. I pulled the gun, steady as the Space Needle on a clear day. Give me the money, the proof, or I end this right here. Jack lunged, pleading. LYD, please. It's not what you think. The money, it's for Ellie. Krista's got dirt. Yeah, but I was protecting you. Always. Liar. My finger tightened. Krista smirked, daring me. And then the shot. Not fatal. I aimed low, grazing his shoulder. Blood sprayed, hot and coppery. He crumpled, gasping. It's all for her.
Ellie.
Or Krista. The ambiguity hung, thick as smoke. Krista bolted for the back door, but I was faster, tackling her into the mud, fists flying in a frenzy of silk and spite. You destroyed us, I screamed, pinning her, the gun forgotten in the scuffle. She fought dirty, nails raking my cheek, knee to my gut. We rolled, rain soaking us, until Harlan's truck headlights cut the night. He'd followed. Enough, he bellowed, hauling us apart. But it wasn't enough. As sirens wailed distant, someone's neighbor with a trigger-happy 911 finger, Jack confessed in whispers, Harlan's flashlight pinning him like a bug. The money was dirty. Yeah, but the real secret? Ellie wasn't his. Not biologically. A one-night stand from my wild college days. Before Jack. Before the lies. He'd known since the paternity test 2 years back, buried it to keep the family facade. I love her like my own, he wheezed, blood bubbling. But Krista found out. Blackmailed me to leave you both. Twist of the knife. I'd gambled everything. My freedom, my future, for a man who wasn't even her father. Krista, cuffed and spitting venom, laughed through tears. He was gonna run with me and the cash. Leave you the mess, like always. The cops came, a blur of badges and questions. I was arrested, attempted murder, illegal firearm. Jack, airlifted to Harborview, survived with a scar and a plea deal, testifying against Krista for reduced charges. She got 8 years for extortion and fraud.
Me?
House arrest, therapy mandates, the scarlet letter of a woman who snapped. Ellie? She asked for daddy once, then stopped. We moved to a tiny apartment in Queen and views of the sound that mock my shattered horizon. I design book covers now, dark thrillers that echo my life. And Jack. He visits, supervised, eyes haunted. I never stopped loving you, LYD. Any of you.
Lies.
But in the quiet nights, when Ellie sleeps with Mr. Bubbles, I wonder, was the shot revenge or mercy? Did I save us, or damn us all? The line blurs, like Seattle's perpetual gray. And that's the real betrayal, knowing no one's the villain. We're all just survivors, clawing through the rain. Harlan became my shadow after the cabin, popping up at my court dates with a thermos of diner coffee and gruff advice that bordered on therapy. You pulled the trigger, kid, but fate loaded the gun. Ex-cop wisdom, served with a side of cynicism that somehow kept me from crumbling. My public defender, a harried millennial named Theo with tattoos peeking from his cuffs, fought like hell, self-defense, emotional duress, the works. Your Honor, he'd argue in that fluorescent-lit courtroom downtown, Mrs. Harper didn't just find out about an affair. She uncovered a conspiracy that framed her years ago, costing her career, her stability. The judge, a stern woman with silver hair and eyes like chipped flint, nodded along, but her gavel fell anyway. 6 months house arrest, mandatory counseling, loss of my concealed carry rights. Ironic, since I'd never owned a legal one. Freedom, American style, a GPS anklet that chafed my calf like a guilty conscience, and Ellie homeschooled via Zoom while I paced our 2-bedroom rental, walls thin as whispers. Neighbors in Queen and were the nosy type, tech wives with yoga mats and judgment, whispering over fences about that shooting up on Prospect. I ignored them, focusing on survival. Grocery runs to the co-op, where organic kale costs more than dignity, and late-night scrolls through true crime podcasts, vicariously living the vengeance I couldn't anymore. But vengeance? It simmers. Jack got out on bail pending his plea, slinking back to a sterile condo in South Lake Union, the kind with rooftop pools and no soul. His visits started awkward, 45 minutes every other Saturday, Ellie between us like a human shield. She'd chatter about her drawings, now wolves turned guardians, while Jack fidgeted, bandaged shoulder a constant reminder. How's work, LYD? He'd ask, like we were at a cocktail party, not dissecting our corpse of a marriage. Surviving, I'd snap, stirring mac and cheese on the hot plate, our kitchen a joke, all formica and regret. Ellie would pipe up, Daddy, why'd you leave with the bad lady? Blunt as a child's crayon. Jack's face would crumple, that salesman polish cracking. I didn't leave, bug. Daddy made a mistake. Big one. Mistake. The word ignited fresh fury. After he left, I'd grill Ellie gently. Kids spill secrets like juice boxes. What do you remember, baby? From that night. She'd trace patterns on the fogged window, overlooking the ferries chugging to Bainbridge. You were sad, Mommy. And Daddy whispered on the phone. Tell her it's over. Her who? The bad lady.
Krista.
Always Krista. Harlan dug deeper while I was leashed to the apartment, his reports arriving via encrypted email, ex-cop perks. Turns out, she wasn't just a fixer. She was a ghost from Jack's past, a sorority sister turned corporate shark who'd clawed her way into the firm after law school at UW. Their affair? Started preemie, reignited when the old scandal bubbled up. She's the puppet master, Harlan growled over a burner call. Jack's her mark, dangles the blackmail, reels him in with sex and salvation. But get this, the original frame job? Her thesis project. Simulated embezzlement for a white-collar crime class. Jack lifted it, botched it, and she covered his ass to hook him. Minds like that don't break, they bend. From my velvet cage, I plotted. Not violence, learned that lesson in blood, but exposure. I reached out to the whistleblower from 5 years back, a bitter ex-analyst named Ruiz, now slinging lattes in Capitol Hill. We met in a park, masks optional in post-plague Seattle, Ellie kicking leaves while we swapped stories over thermoses. Jack Harper. Ruiz spat, chain-smoking despite the drizzle. Ruined my life. Fed info to the feds anonymously, but they pinned it on you. Krista coached him, said it'd make him look clean. Proof. Emails, ledgers, a digital trail Harlan authenticated. I bundled it all. Anonymous tips to the SEC, The Stranger, that alt-weekly rag that loves skewering Tech Brothers' widow's web, how Seattle's VC elite frame the innocent. It dropped mid-house arrest, front page. My face blurred but the story raw. Jack's plea hearing? Cancelled. Krista's trial? Front-loaded with new evidence. She lawyered up, but the headline stuck. Black Widow of Belltown unmasked. Jack called that night. Voice slurry, booze or pills? Hard to tell. Lydia, what the hell? You leaked it? After everything? Everything. I laughed, low and lethal. Ellie asleep in the next room. You buried me alive for your empire. Framed me for your screw-ups. Lied about Ellie, my daughter, not yours. Silence, then a choke.
I suspected.
The test was inconclusive, but yeah, it changed nothing. I loved her. Love you. Bullshit. American men and their half-assed redemption arcs. You chose Krista. The money. The easy out. I chose survival, he shot back, edge sharpening. This city's a meat grinder. You think I wanted to hurt you? It was her, pushing, manipulating. She whispered you'd never know, that we could start over. Start over. The phrase echoed, a siren song I'd hummed myself in weaker moments.
But nah.
Visit's over, Jack. Don't come back till you're ready to own it, all of it. He didn't. For weeks, radio silence, save for child support deposits that hit like guilty punches. Ellie noticed, drawing empty swing sets. Where's Daddy, Mommy? Is he with the bad lady in jail?
He's
figuring things out. Lies again, but kinder ones. Harlan checked in, his truck idling outside like a faithful hound. Tip worked. Feds circling Jack's firm. Krista's singing. Naming names to shave time. Your ex? He's the fall guy now. Karma, Seattle style. Cold, relentless, drizzling doubt. But doubt crept in for me too. Nights, anklet beeping like a heartbeat, I'd replay the cabin, the shot, his blood, that whisper. It's all for her. Ellie? Or Krista? Harlan's last report hinted at worse. Prenatal records. Forged. Krista hadn't just blackmailed. She'd tampered, ensuring Jack's loyalty by dangling Ellie's paternity like bait. What if the test wasn't inconclusive? What if Jack knew she was mine alone and stayed for optics? Or left because of it? The anklet came off on a crisp December morning, Judge's mercy after good behavior, and Theo's impassioned closing. Mrs. Harper isn't a criminal. She's a survivor. Free, I loaded Ellie into our beat-up Subaru, paid off finally, and drove to the Olympics again, not for blood, but closure. The cabin was boarded up, yellow tape fluttering like forgotten prayers. I left a note in the splintered door. We survived you. Build your empire on truth next time. Back in Queen, and life stitched itself haphazard. Ellie back at preschool, me pitching designs to indie publishers who dig my edgy vibe. Jack resurfaced at Easter, clean-shaven, suit traded for jeans, Ellie squealing as he pushed her on the swings at Gasworks Park.
I'm sorry, Wit.
Really? Therapy, the works. Let me make it right.
Right.
The word dangled. Tempting. We tried dinners at that Italian spot in Fremont, where garlic bread soaks up sins. He talked restitution, selling the old house to fund Ellie's college. I listened, thawing despite myself. America loves a comeback story, right? The prodigal husband. Redeemed. But redemption's a lie when the past knocks. Late May, a package arrived. No sender, just my name in block letters. Inside, a USB drive, Krista's parting gift from lockup. I plugged it in, alone while Ellie napped, heart pounding like bass at a Sounders game. Files. Hundreds. Emails, videos, grainy motel footage of Jack and Krista, not just sex, but schemes. The framed job, plotted over champagne toasts. And deeper, Ellie's birth records, unaltered. Paternity confirmed, Jack, 99.9%. He'd lied about the test, buried the truth to justify his escape. Our little secret, one video caption read, his voice off screen. Lydia thinks it's ambiguous. Keeps her hooked. Hooked. Like a fish on a line. The rage returned, volcanic but colder now. No gun, just resolve. I copied the drive, sent it to Theo. Divorce him. Full custody. Expose everything. The hearing was a circus. Reporters from the PI clogging the courthouse steps. Jack's lawyers spinning damage control. He took the stand, voice breaking. I panicked. Loved them too much to lose them. Jury ate it up, but the judge didn't. Custody to me, supervised visits, asset freeze. Krista? Her deal soured. She flipped on Jack for leniency, but it was too late. He got 18 months, white-collar wing at SeaTac. Ellie and I watched from the ferry to Bainbridge that summer, waves chopping like unresolved chords. "Will Daddy come home?" she asked, ice cream dripping on her sundress. "Maybe, baby. When he's better." Truth partial. Inside, the storm brewed. Revenge wasn't the shot. It was this, stripping his facade, leaving him to rot in his own lies. But as the city's skyline receded, doubt whispered. Was I the villain now? Engineering his fall, denying Ellie her father? The line blurred, gray as Puget Sound fog. And then, the twist, the one that keeps me up, arguing with shadows. A letter from Jack, pre-sentencing. LYD. The money I hid? Not all gone. Buried it for Ellie, cords in the cabin floorboards. Use it for her future. I did it all for you both. Forgive me? Cords led to a lockbox. $500,000, laundered clean. Enough for a house, college, escape. Gift or trap. Guilt money from a man who'd lie to save his skin. I stared at the stacks, Ellie's laughter echoing from the park below. Keep it, build our empire? Or burn it, salt the earth? The choice hung, divisive as a ballot in this polarized hellscape. No heroes here, just a mother, a daughter, and the ghosts of what-ifs. Autumn crept in like an uninvited guest, leaves turning gold and brittle underfoot, mirroring the fragility I'd stitched into our new normal. The lockbox cash burned a hole in a safety deposit box downtown. Wells Fargo, ironic choice for blood money, and I wrestled with it like Jacob with the angel, nights pacing the apartment while Ellie dreamed of simpler villains. Harlan advised caution. Touch it, and you're in the web again. Walk away, you're free.
Free.
The word tasted like freedom fries, greasy, overpromised. With it, I could buy back the craftsmen, hire tutors, armor Ellie against the whispers that followed us like bad credit scores. Without, we scraped, I freelanced harder. My designs darker, edgier, selling to publishers who fetishized fractured psyches. Jack's letters came weekly now, prison stationery creased from handling, his script tighter, almost legible. Miss her laugh. Miss your fire. When I get out, can we try? For Ellie?
Try.
As if marriage was a beta app, buggy, but fixable. I let Ellie read the tame ones, her brow furrowing over words like remorse. What's that mean, Mommy? Being really, really sorry. I'd smooth her hair, the same chestnut waves as mine, not his, biology's small mercies. She nodded, filing it away, then asked the question that gutted me. Did you shoot Daddy because he was bad? Honesty's a razor's edge with kids. I shot him because I was scared. And angry.
But we're all a little bad sometimes, baby.
That's why we fix it. She hugged Mr. Bubbles tighter, eyes wise beyond 5. I don't want you to be bad. Me neither.
But was I?
The leak, the divorce, justice or vendetta. Krista's trial wrapped in October, a spectacle in federal court, her orange jumpsuit clashing with the mahogany benches. I testified remotely, anklet off but scars itching, recounting the cabin, the gun, the lies. She glared through the screen, that smirk tempered by fluorescent pallor. Lydia Harper, her lawyer drawled, "You profited from this drama. Book deals? Speaking gigs." Lies, but the tabloids ran with it. Vengeful wife cashes in on hubby's fall. No deals. Just survival. Post-trial, Krista got 12 years, fraud, extortion, tampering. She wrote me once from Victorville, scrawled venom. You think you won? Jack was mine first. That kid? Better off without his genes. Check the real files, my gift to you. Another USB, smuggled via a guard's cousin. I hesitated, then plugged it in. Alone in the dim glow of my desk lamp, rain pattering like impatient fingers. Jack's emails, pre-cabin. Not to Krista, but from her a chain starting years back. Paternity test rigged, 1 red. Results, 0% match. Tell Lydia it's inconclusive, or she leaves with the brat. My stomach dropped. Rigged? But the prison drive said 99.9%. Cross-reference. Timestamps. The gift drive was doctored, Krista's final twist, planting doubt to fracture us from afar. Fury, then clarity. I forwarded it to the feds. tampering on top of her charges. Harlan chuckled over the phone. That woman's a snake eating its tail. You're the boot on its head.
Boot.
Or hammer. Jack's release loomed, early for good behavior. That white-collar wink. Ellie counted days on a calendar. XS in red crayon. Daddy's coming home. Home. Our apartment? His condo? The word warped, elastic as taffy. He arrived on a gray November afternoon, Uber dropping him curbside like a returned library book. Leaner, grayer at the temples, but that smile. Weaponized charm. Ellie barreled into him, squealing, while I hung back, arms crossed against the chill. "LYD," he said, tentative, setting down a duffel of prison-issue regrets. "Thank you. For the visits, the letters. Means everything." "Don't." My voice clipped, Pacific Northwest polite, but edged. Ellie's excited.
I'm
processing. We tried domesticity. Pizza at Pagliacci's. Awkward small talk over calzones. He asked about my work. Those book covers? Killer stuff. And I deflected, probing instead. The money. Why hide it? His fork paused midair.
Guilt.
Thought it'd fix what I broke. If you ever needed it.
Pause.
Do you? The question hung, loaded. Ellie chattered about school, oblivious. Later, tucking her in, she whispered, "Daddy looks sad."
Fix him, Mommy.
Kids and their fixer-upper hearts. I nodded, but inside, the storm swirled. Nights, Jack crashed on the couch. Temporary, he said, his snores a reminder of betrayals past. I rifled his duffel one dawn, pre-coffee paranoia. Nothing but legal pads, AA chips, a photo of us pre-Ellie, grinning at Alki Beach. Trust? A casualty. But Ellie bloomed under the dual-parent glow, her drawings lighter. Families whole, no wolves. Holidays loomed. Thanksgiving at my sister's, turkey and tension. Jack carved, jokes landing flat, my sister eyeing him like expired milk. "You okay, LYD?" she whispered in the kitchen, while he chased Ellie in the yard. "Okay's relative." Truth. The cash tempted, visions of a down payment dancing like sugar plums. I consulted Theo. Divorce final, but assets murky. "It's yours by right," he said. Reparations. Reparations. Or poison. Christmas Eve. Snow dusting the sound a rarity. Jack pulled me aside on the balcony. String lights twinkling like hesitant stars. "I want in. For real. Counseling, co-parenting. Hell. Remarry, if you'll have me." His hand on mine, warm, familiar. I get it, the shot, the rage. I deserved it. But we're better together. Better. The American myth, repackaged. Ellie peeked out. "Presents Daddy?" He scooped her up, and in that tableau, father, daughter, lights, I wavered. Forgive? Rebuild? Or burn it down? New Year's, the decision crystallized. A call from Harlan. Krista's appeal denied. But chatter. Jack's old firm. They're circling. Want him back. Clean slate.
Clean.
As if. I confronted him over eggnog. Ellie asleep upstairs. The money. I found it.
His face drained.
LYD, it's clean now. Use it. For us.
Us.
I slid the photo across the table, the doctored one from Krista. Or for your lies. The rigged test, the frame job. You knew about Ellie, all of it, and played me. He deflated, no fight left. I knew. About the paternity, early. Krista faked the ambiguity to control me. I stayed because I wanted to believe it was mine. Our family. When she pushed the blackmail, I cracked. Thought running would protect you both from the fallout. Protect. The word shattered. You destroyed us to save your ass.
No.
Tears, real ones. I destroyed myself. Let me fix. Fix. Laughter, hollow. Here's my fix. I transferred the cords to him. Lockbox key. All. Take it. Start over. Alone. He left at dawn. Duffel slung. Ellie's crayon calendar half XD. She woke crying. Where's Daddy? I held her. Rain resuming its eternal patter. He had to go, baby. But we're okay. Stronger. Stronger. We moved come spring. A modest bungalow in Wallingford. Cash down payment anonymous. My designs funding the rest. No empire, just equity. Garden for Ellie's veggies. Studio for my art. Jack visits monthly, distant but doting. No pleas for more. You're thriving, he says, wistful. I see it. Thriving. Or surviving. The twist, the endless debate, comes in quiet moments. Was the money tainted or grace? Did I exile him justly or cruelly? Ellie thrives unscarred, her questions fading to tell me the wolf story again. No wolves, just us, mother and daughter, rewriting the fairy tale. But in the dark, I wonder, if Jack had stayed, unmasked, would we be whole? Or is revenge the true American dream, bitter, disputed, leaving you hollow but upright? The debate rages, internal, eternal. No answers, just the road ahead, fog-shrouded and fierce.